How many years have come and gone since that day? How many years have I waited for this moment? For the one that stood alone against the storm. For the one they called the Warrior of Light.
Ever since the very first video I made on Final Fantasy XIV over 4 months ago, people have been commenting on that video saying, "Welcome to Eorzea, I can't wait for you to get to Shadowbringers." For the last 4 months, so many people have sent me tells, left comments, in Discord they've messaged me and said, "Hey, I can't wait for you to get to Shadowbringers." When I got to Heavensward, people were saying, "Heavensward is so good, but it's nothing like Shadowbringers." And when I was struggling in Stormblood, people were saying, "Just push through, it's worth it for Shadowbringers." And I've never understood the hype. I've just been taking my time, dawdling along, and just generally pacing myself through the game. But boy, I had no idea what was waiting for me at the end. This expansion so far has exceeded all my expectations, and I've had goosebumps in most of the major cutscenes so far. I've struggled to put it into words, which is why this series has taken so long to start. But here we are. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get straight in to Shadowbringers Part 1. Welcome everyone to Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers Part 1, and I'm so excited to share this with you. For those that are new around here, I was a long-time World of Warcraft player for around 14-15 years, and about just over 4 months ago, I started my very first day in Final Fantasy XIV. I wanted to make a series documenting my journey and how the game felt as a WoW player, how they compared, and just kind of what my thoughts and feelings on the game as someone who has never tried it before. And it just kept going. We just kept playing, and the more I played, the more I fell in love with the game. And here we are. The Sprout is gone, and we're in the most current expansion. At least it will be the most current expansion for the next month. So yeah, I'm loving this so far. I'm absolutely hooked on the story. I just can't stop. I keep turning my stream on and just streaming for like 8 hours and just non-stop playing the MSQ. I can't put it down. I'm recording this video and I'm just thinking about playing more. So there's probably going to be a lot to cover here because we've played a lot. So let's get straight into it. So the main things that hit me about this expansion is the tone. The tone was set so fast. Eerie music. I think the music in this expansion is phenomenal. I don't know how they do it, but I've never felt like emotion in a video game like the music played in this expansion. It's just so eerie, and it knows how to invoke the feelings they want you to invoke. And just from the get-go, it just had it all. It was just so good. And then the tone just comes at you, dark, mysterious, dangerous. The very first thing that happens is you go to this unknown world and someone dies that you just spoke to, and it's just so dark. And after coming out of Stormblood, I was ready for something a bit darker. And this is, as someone who loves like the Dark Souls games, the mystery and the danger and the monsters, this is just right up my street. I'm in love with it. The idea for where they went here was just so good. And then the main hub, I didn't think anything would ever top Ishgard. I love the dragons, I love Heavensward, so I didn't think anything would top Ishgard. But hey, the Crystarium, it's up there. It's so cool, it really is. And we had an incredible welcome from everybody on stream, so thank you everyone if you turned up here and welcomed me. I was not expecting this. It was so cute. so nice. You've done it at every expansion, and you're still here, so thank you all so much. I do stream on Twitch 3 to 4 days a week. We're streaming all of Shadowbringers. If you want to check us out live, I'll link that down below. But thank you all so much. You make this experience so much better. You will spot a lot of notable characters, the giant Alphinaud, the wind-up Thancred, and many others among those. And then I made no secret that Heavensward is my favorite so far. I loved Heavensward, and 3.4, the Warriors of Darkness story, was just so good. I love the Ascians and the darkness and all that sort of stuff. So when we got into the Crystarium and you go into your private room and you see Ardbert, what? I was not expecting this. I thought that story ended way too soon, and I even said in my video it was like Stormblood. It was a Heavensward part something, part, I don't know, 7, something like that. That I was really sad that this story didn't continue more, because it was just so good. The character was so cool, and I wanted more. And here he is. I'm so ready to learn more about the Warrior of Darkness, Ardbert, his tale, and what happened to him. It seems like it's going to be incredibly sad from what I've seen. But either way, I'm just happy to see more of this story. And then not much was happening. And then you could choose to either go see Alphinaud or Alisae. And I went to see Alisae because it sounded like she was doing a lot of like fighting, and she was on like the front lines. And I thought I'd go see that part first. And what? What is this? We've never seen true horror in Final Fantasy XIV. There was a little bit of stuff at the end of Tamatara hard mode, but we've never seen anything like this. This was not just scary, it was haunting. It was genuinely haunting. I freaked out so hard on stream at this. It just came so out of left field. And it just didn't look like anything it didn't look like anything Final Fantasy XIV could have done. And especially in Stormblood, which for me felt very Disney-esque. It was very, very safe and tame, and it didn't feel like it was for a mature audience, most of it. But this was just so dark and so... It just hit so hard. I couldn't believe it. As soon as I saw this, I just knew it. Everything you've all been saying, I can't wait for Shadowbringers, I can't wait to see what you think of it. Yeah, I get it. I get it. This is not like any other expansion. The writer for Shadowbringers is just in a different league, and they deserve all the praise they get. They are a genius. They are phenomenal. I could never have expected this to be this good. Wow. And then after recovering from the haunting and terrifying experiences with Alisae, it was time to go meet Alphinaud in the Yulmore area. And one thing you've got to praise Shadowbringers on, and one thing that I noticed really fast, is they don't tell a linear story, which is what you saw quite a lot in ARR and Stormblood. They would tell a story, so, you know, we've got to kill the primals, and then there would be small mini stories or side stories along with it. But in Shadowbringers, it feels like a zone has its own giant story. It's very much what you saw with the Azim Steppes in Stormblood. Even though there was the massive story going on, they told a whole mini story inside. And this is what they seem to be doing all through Shadowbringers. And it just makes the experience flow so much better. You don't get to the end of a zone and then feel fatigue. Well, I don't get to the end of a zone and feel like the fatigue of, oh, okay, now we've got to do more. It goes, okay, that zone's done. Now let's tell this next story while the main story is still around. And I just think it was so well done. I've like I say, one thing I haven't done pretty much all through Final Fantasy XIV is these big, long 8 to 10 hour stints of story, because I did get a little bored after 4 or 5 hours. But in Shadowbringers, it just flows so well and it's so well paced that I just think they're doing an amazing job. And I think the Yulmore story is really good. I feel like I've only just scratched the surface of Volthree and the Sin Eaters and how he's controlling the Sin Eaters. I've no idea yet how that whole thing plays out, because you kind of go there, you do a little, and then this happens and you have to run out. So I feel like there's a lot more to learn about Volthree and the Yulmore army and all this kind of stuff. So I'm ready to go back. But as a zone, as a story, is just so interesting. And then you get one of probably the best shown lore dumps in the game. You finally get to understand how the calamities work and how they're linked to these dying stars. I thought that like they were telling it really well throughout the end of Heavensward and the Warrior of Darkness story. And then you heard nothing of it all through Stormblood. And I was there like, oh my God, I want to know more about this. And it was just so good that the Crystal Exarch just dumps all the information. He just tells you everything. I mean, there's probably more, but it was just so interesting to see how they're linked and why we need to save this world and how it's linked to our home world. And the Warrior of Darkness, you've got to finally understand why they flee their home world to correct things. It was just so interesting and just such a good way to do it. And then we've got to talk about the first dungeon, Holminster Switch. Wow, this was good. This was so good. You also unlock the trust system, which I haven't used yet, but I heard it's a good way to see like characters fighting and to get a bit of extra lore throughout the dungeon. Yeah, but like I say, I mostly play with people on stream and like friends, viewers, that kind of thing. And I've never tried the trust system yet. But I don't know if I'm missing out on anything. Maybe I am. Let me know in the comments if there's something I'm missing from that. And the dungeon itself didn't really hit that hard. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool. And everyone in chat on Twitch was like freaking out at this boss. And I was like, what? Oh, yeah, it's a Cynica. It's pretty cool. And then about like 10% into the boss, I realized it's Tesleen. How freaking dark is that? That is so dark that this woman who was just such a good person and so helpful, and she had that traumatic, horrible ending, has come back as a brainless, flesh-eating monster that just wants to destroy and eat you, I guess. It's just so dark, and you have to kill her in the dungeon like it's nothing. And then, of course, the music is just... I feel like I'm constantly turning the music up in every single dungeon, and even in like the zone music. The music composer, again, I think we just need to just say... I'm going to say it now rather than repeat myself. The writer and the music producer both need awards. They're both geniuses. They're both incredible. And I think they make it... Like, I don't think the graphics or the gameplay stood out as much as the writing and the music for me. They were just on a whole different level in this expansion. Just phenomenal. And then another subtlety that I picked up on is at the end of your dungeon, after taking out this first Light Warden, there's no celebration. There's no cheering. It's just eerie. Goosebumps. So creepy. Just so creepy. I really like the idea of the Light Wardens. If anyone here has played Dragon Age Origins, it's a spoiler for Dragon Age Origins. It's such an old game that I feel happy to give you a spoiler. But the big monster that at the end of Dragon Age Origins, like the big thing that was the leader of all the evil, there was a big twist that if you kill this big evil, you become it yourself. And I think that's a great way to tell a story. And I think a few films have told that story as well. And they've used it in this game, and it fits so well that if you take out a Light Warden, you will take in the light and become a monster yourself, and you become the next Light Warden. And that's a really good story. But of course, we are the Warrior of Light, and we can take in the light and bring darkness to this overly bright world. And amazing. For some reason, every single epic ending to every expansion, this here is my best moment in the game so far. I don't know why, but this was my favorite moment in the whole of Final Fantasy, better than the end of Heavensward, the end of Stormblood, the end of ARR. This just gave me all over shivers and was just, again, I think it might be the music as well, but I don't know why, but this just felt so impactful. It's just beautiful. It's a cinematic masterpiece, I think, this expansion. It's just so good. And then the reason I played the intro the way I did, mixing up those two scenes, is because I loved how the Crystal Exarch re-said kind of the line from the trailer in a different way.
Years have I waited for this moment. For the one possessed of her blessing. For you.
It's just such a good way to end the dungeon, and I loved it. I thought it was incredible. And then after finishing that, I did like spend some time doing some optional stuff, and I unlocked Eurika. And as someone who comes from World of Warcraft and who is a bit of a bit of an older guy. Played a lot of the older MMOs like RuneScape and some of the real grindy MMOs. I'm no stranger to just switching my brain off and just grinding mobs for hours on end. So Eureka is right up my street. I really, really like it. If you have any tips on Eureka, I heard there's another one after Shadowbringers as well. Any tips like that, I'd love to hear it because I really like Eureka. We just pushed to 20, level 20, which has been really fun. And I'm pretty hooked on this. Whenever I'm not in the MSQ, I'm in Eureka. I really, really enjoy it. And I know some people hate this place. So I'm a big fan. I just like the mindless side of it. I think it's really fun. Yeah, does that make me a bit weird? Maybe I'm a bit weird. I've heard there's a T-Rex from these loot boxes. I have opened 385 loot boxes in total. And I have not got this T-Rex. Does it exist? Is it a meme? Am I cursed? I've opened so many. I've probably got the complete Animus set 5 times. I've got about 30 wardrobes from this thing. I have not got the T-Rex, the mount. I'm gonna keep going. But any tips? Is there a certain boss that drops a certain loot box? I don't know, but I'm gonna keep opening them. I love this. I love Eureka, so I'm gonna stay here a long time. But yeah, let me know. Am I doing it wrong, or am I just unlucky? And then the other fun side of Eureka is slowly leveling up your weapons. So I'm working on upgrading my Stormblood relic weapon, which is the first one I'm really going really hard on because I've not really messed around with relic weapons much. But this one seems pretty cool. I like Eureka, so it's kind of fun side. Like I would do this without the relic weapon. I really just like Eureka, so it's good that I'm getting a relic weapon out of it. It's really cool. I've got it to +2 so far, and I don't know where I go from here, but like I say, any tips, let me know. But I'm having fun. It's cool to upgrade it. I'm going with the Samurai because that's the main class I'm playing. So I'm going with the Samurai weapon for now. And it seems really cool. It seems cool so far. And then you got to give it to them. Their choice of main characters in Shadowbringers so far is just flawless. Gaius, the return of Gaius. The return of Estinian. Ardbert, Crystal Exarch. The twins, everyone is just such a good character, and they're just so they just get your attention so easily and hold your attention. At least that's my experience. Maybe there's people out there that prefer Stormblood or Heavensward to Shadowbringers, but for me, it's just Shadowbringers is just in a whole different league. And then we joined the Royal Guard and went out to rescue Mini Minfilia, as people seem to call her. And everyone turned up in the guard's uniform. This was really cool. Thank you all for coming out here. This was so funny. And then we met another villain, Ranjit. I don't know how to feel about Ranjit. He feels a little out of place at the moment. I think it's because there's so much supernaturally Asian style stuff going on, and he's just like a run-of-the-mill actual villain. But yeah, I think he's like the leader of the Yulmore army, and he's a monk with a snake lizard dragon. He seems pretty cool. I don't know much about him. He just likes to. He seems just very angry and very determined. So I think he's interested, but I want to see more of him. And then with Minfilia back, it was off to the fairy kingdom of Ilmeg, which was different. Very, very different from Lakeland. Very, very different, but pretty cool. And with Minfilia, the twins, Thancred, the reunion of the Scions wouldn't be complete without Mr. Shakespeare himself, Urianger. And it's no secret that I'm not a fan of Urianger, even though he's now a very cool and edgy-looking astrologian. I think the main issue is I have no idea what the guy is saying. I really struggle. I'm an English guy. I only know English, and I have no idea what he's saying. I can't understand it. I don't know. It's a problem. I kind of sometimes get a gist of what he's saying, but I feel like I have to sit and decipher it. And for that reason, I don't really like him because I just find him so confusing. But he did tell us in his own way about his vision of the end of the world and how we met our demise. And I thought this was a good tie into the trailer as well. When we got here, to the fairy kingdom, and you've got to collect the 4 relics of like the kings, like the dress and the slippers, things like that. I thought it was a little cheesy, and I didn't really think it was that good. And it took a while to grow on me. But then once we met like the Numao and the other characters here, I thought it was a lot better. And then you realize that these pixies aren't just fun-loving pixies. They're actually pretty damn evil. And then the Yulmoran army turns up, and they managed to turn a zone that isn't really my thing into something that I was fully on board with by the end. And I think they did a really good job. This dungeon itself was pretty cool. It was kind of a wacky circus style dungeon that I wasn't expecting. I thought it'd be more grass and greenery and like gazelles roaming around and things like that because of where it was located. But it was just completely wacky with some under the sea creature and these frogs, and it was just completely out there. And I thought they did a really good job with it. And then I'm not sure if this is like a common meme or if I just am surrounded by trolls. But yeah, the healer rescue into the pit was very funny while Now Fall is singing in the background. Good job. Good, yeah. Maybe I'm just completely surrounded by trolls, but it was pretty funny. And still no celebration at the end. It's just so eerie. I love it. And then the pixies weren't my favorite part of this zone, and I was a bit worried I wasn't going to like it. But when you started to meet the Numao, I thought it picked up a lot. And then when you meet the Amaro, it was just so good. I'm a huge fan of Ardbert, so I think I'm biased here. But realizing that the Seto was his, I guess it was like his chocobo, his like companion, was just so sad. Every time Ardbert's story is told, I just get more and more emotional a little bit because I just think it's just such a sad story. His monologue at the end of 3.4 is just burned in my memory. You know, the one where he's like, "We did everything right, everything that was asked of us, but still, it came to this." Like that monologue is just burned in my head, the whole thing, because it was just such a. There was so much emotion. I think the voice actor, the music, the writing, everything was just perfect. And it just continues his sad story of what happened with him and the flood and his companions. It's just so sad. And then how they finished off Lakeland, I think it's called Lakeland, with that really good dungeon. I loved how they finished off Ilmeg with this really cool trial. You get the 4 relics. You end the story of Ilmeg. You free the people and you fight the Light Warden. This was really, really cool. I would have liked to have seen a little more of her. I mean, I guess she was sealed away, so you couldn't. But it would have been nice to see more of this character. Even though she's a Light Warden, I thought the story was really, really interesting because there was a lot of like hidden hints and lore. Like the Numao were like, "Oh, we feed her energy," and there was a lot of things that made her seem really interesting. But you took her down before you got to see any more. So I would have liked to see more of her or more of this side of the story continue, but I guess the zone has to end, right? You have to move on. This isn't what it's all about. But it was cool to fight another Light Warden. It was a good fight. And when you think of the Light Warden from the end of the first dungeon compared to this, they really upped their game. They just went all out. They pulled all the stops. It was really good. I think this was like a giant DPS race because you had to kill these before her power reached the top, while all the vines were coming out the ground and all the AoEs were happening. This was so interesting. I really, really, really like it. And then the music, of course, I'm just going to keep talking about music, aren't I? The music was just great. But yeah, they did a really good. They did her justice, like this powerful person that was trapped away that had all this power of the forest and the pixies and the power of Ilmeg, I guess. They did her justice. This was a really, really good way to end the zone. That's pretty much where we are now. We finished the Alisae and Alphinaud, reuniting the Scions apart from Y'shtola, and we finished this area, and it's time to move on to Takrita, the forest, the big Greatwood Forest. We started it, I just entered there and did a little bit, but I want to end here and then do that whole zone in another video to, summarize the whole thing. I think that's a better way to do things rather than stop and start in weird places. So I'm probably going to wrap the video up here at the end of this area. Overall, I can't say a bad word about Shadowbringers. And if you're new around here, if this is your first video of mine you've ever watched, if I just appeared on your recommended or something, consider subscribing to the channel or dropping a like if you like the video. But what I was going to say is, if you're new around here, don't think that I'm just overly positive as like a people pleaser. I've got no issue being negative when I'm not happy. Check out my Stormblood series if you want, because most of those videos are rants and complaints about the story. It didn't hit with me at all. So I've got no issue when when I'm not enjoying something to say it how it is. So for me, yeah, this is it's just all good all of the time. And I'm struggling to critique it from the characters, the music, the writing, the pacing, the zones. Everything is just hitting right now. And I'm not seeing any lulls. Everything is just great all of the time. And it's weird to be in this situation where everything's just good. I'm happy, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, when's it gonna drop off? When's it gonna get boring? When's the story gonna take a turn that I don't like? But I think I'm just paranoid, because so far everything's just great. Everything is just really, really good. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this one up here. I'm gonna end the Shadowbringers. Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers Part 1 is now over. The second one will probably be out within a week, starting from the entrance of Raktika Greatwoods, and wherever we go from there. I'm going to be streaming it all over on Twitch, so if you do want to come watch live, I will link my stream down below. A lot of people have come over because they seem to want to watch this final expansion. I've got no idea what's coming, but a lot of people seem excited to see. So thank you all so much if you've come over to Twitch, or if you've even watched this video. Thank you so much for being here. If you have enjoyed, honestly, subscribing to the channel helps me out so much. And you will get notified when a new video comes out. I try and release one a week of these main videos with some other stuff in between. So thank you all so much. Take care, and I will catch you in the next one.